That is so good.
Welcome back to Positively American, and today I'm going to tell you everything I know about wood milling. John.
Oh, okay. So
over to you.
That was a lot. I'm telling you, like
that was a lot, Dean. You know a lot.
There's not going to be a quiz, is there?
No. Wood's always been.
Wood?
Yeah,
wood's always been wood.
It's just all around me.
Dean's just humble. He knows about wood.
Oh.
He knows about wood, yeah.
Yeah.
But actually, you know
All right.
more.
So today, I guess we're going to go out to the woodshed today. We're going to do a little bit of milling. We can go over the features of the mill that I have, what I like about it, what I'd like to improve on. Nobody's sponsored this or anything like that. It's my own personal mill that I've had now for about 3 or 4 years. When I did start milling, I started chainsaw milling. And with the band mill, there's pros and cons to it on what you buy and how much you want to invest into it. If you're doing it for pleasure or for business, there's all kinds of things we can go over about it. One of the things I like about it, and I'll point those out when we get there, but it does save time for what your projects are going to be, and hopefully you have a project in mind like I have right now. Last night I loaded a cedar log up onto there that we harvested off some property locally. They went through, logged the whole property and said, hey, come on up, you can take whatever you want. And we take scraps, whatever, it'll all turn into something eventually. If it doesn't go into a project, it's great kindling or great firewood for later. So
yeah, John's specialty is taking wood from trees that people have cut down, unwanted trees, and making them into wanted pieces of furniture and other cool pieces of art.
Yeah, and so we take everything that's dangerous, hazardous, people don't want anymore, or it's arborists have come and dropped a tree, they don't know what to do with it anymore, and I can honestly say I've never paid for any of those logs. It's kind of like I'm doing them a favor, and most of the time when we do remove those logs, there's something sentimental about the tree they have on their property. And it's kind of like they'd like to remember it, and they'll in turn say, hey, could you make a table or a bench or furniture or a piece of art or something like that, so they can keep it around for it to pass down to family members. So it's fun, it's rewarding, it's a lot of work, and we'll cover all that when we go over to the mill, and we can go more into detail on that.
Cool. Looking forward to it. And yeah, sometimes, I can imagine, like, maybe,
Wow.
Everything Joe knows about milling.
Gee,
I can imagine.
I think you know more than...
come up with a joke about, like, Grandpa being buried under the tree, and like, could you make something out of the tree and Grandpa? But...
Well, no, people that, people sit there and, like, they will have, like, a grandparent or something like that.
Yeah.
We've actually done a tree where somebody carved the initials into a tree.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
And so they wanted to save that part of it, so we milled up a small piece for them and gave it back to them.
Nice.
So they always have that. It's not destroyed.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, that's cool. So off we go to the mill barn.
Mill barn?
Mill
I
barn?
don't know what the hell.
You know more than me, Joe.
I'm making words up. I'm just making
you
words up.
are.
Yeah. All right, well, when you said we're going to go out to the wood shed, I was like, what'd I do? Off to the wood? Not the wood pile.
Mill shed. Just call it the mill shed. Off to the barn. Off to the barn.
Off to the barn we go.
So some of the things you want to consider about before you get a mill: do you want to buy new or do you want to buy used? Maybe used, you can save a little bit of money, but wary to those who buy used. Really go through and look at what you got. So with new, make sure you get a demo and learn the machine, the manual, all that stuff. You got to consider whether you want a mobile or stationary. Mobile you can take anywhere and everywhere. And a stationary pretty much stays at the home or a location that you have all set up for it. Now when you're talking about an area set up, you got to make sure it's level. You got to make sure it's easy to load and unload your logs. And then another big kicker is you have a lot of sawdust. And you got to figure out how you're going to remove all of that. You don't want to get too cluttered up. Another thing you want to think about is your mill cuts. So what are you going to do with all your mill cuts? So with ours, stepping outside, we have mill cuts starting to pile up. So those are used for firewood, planter boxes, whatever I can think of using it for. So another thing I like about it is I keep my equipment out of the weather. I know it's not going to rust, it's not going to wear. I could have done it a little bit differently. I took and I placed it inside my barn because we have a lot of people that do drive by here and I don't need them messing with my equipment. You got to look at the build of your equipment. I mean, mine's all done with heavy tube steel. It's very well built, very easy to maintain. You got to think about, well, maybe if I've got 16 feet of track, can I add more? With a stationary mill, you can. With this one here, I can add much more railing outside. The ease of the securing of the logs. So when you think about that, when you load your logs onto the mill, how easy is it to hook them up and secure them? And mine's a pretty easy deal. It's a spring-loaded system. It's nothing fancy, but it holds the logs tried and true. When you buy your equipment, you got to think about replacement parts. So say something goes wrong. How easy is it to get that part? I know that this was built here in Oregon, and I can call the company and they can help me replace it. The other big thing are blades. Blades are not cheap, but you got to think about, okay, so I've hit a rock or I've hit a bolt that somebody's hung the famous birdhouse with. Where am I going to get my blades? Do I get them resharpened or do I buy new? That's another cost consideration you got to think of. So this one here is pretty simple. I've got a Honda GX 390 motor on it. I run really clean unleaded fuel through it. No additives, nothing like that. I've got a tensioner, hydraulic. I also have my water supply up above. My height adjustment. So one of the nice things about having it out of the rain is I don't have my sawdust that's compacting on the ground and I have a real problem with it. Okay, and then the big one is storage. Where are you going to store everything? Got my mill here. I've got wood stored here, there, and everywhere. So make sure that when you do purchase one, you've got all that planned out. Your storage, where your mill's going to go, maybe even draw up a little site map. How long, if you are going to bring logs onto your property, how long are they going to sit? Are they going to sit a year? Are they going to sit 6 months? You got to think about that too. For your area of slabs, we kind of briefly talked about it in earlier videos. You want them out of the sun. You want to be able to sticker and stack them. Check back at our other video that we've done. You want to basically go by the rule of thumb is per inch is 1 year of drying. Kind of a basic rule of thumb. So if you're cutting it an inch wide, a year. It has to sit a year to air dry, and that's what we do here. Basic tools. PPE is a big one. I always wear glasses. I'll wear ear protection because it does get a little bit loud in here. A chainsaw. You want a chainsaw nearby. This is extreme. This is one of my bigger ones that we had sitting out. A PV. Now, you can go with the old school PV, which I'll grab right here. This is a necessity to have. Maybe not the old school. Maybe you might want to go with a newer one. Watch me grab this. So you might want to go with a newer PV. It depends. I have 2 of them here. I actually have 3 of them here. I've got a pry bar. I've got a log dog that helps me. Tape measure. I always have a tape measure near my mill. I want to know how deep I'm cutting. I've got a measurement stick on the back of my mill. A couple things if you're doing continuous cuts. Let me grab this. If you're doing continuous cuts, I'm doing a lot of 3/4 inch cutting. I've made a little wedge that sits on top of my blade and I run it down to the surface that I've already cut and I can cut continuous 3/4. Just an idea and a tip that an old mill guy told me. Then with that, you got to think about sockets, wrenches, anything to take care of this, take care of your mill. I'm out of control tonight. And then a pressure washer and a metal detector. These are 2 things they're off to the side. I like to pressure mine at least once a year, re-lubricate, go through the motor, change the oil, all that stuff, clean it up real good. The other one I said is a metal detector. If you can get a small metal detector, maybe 70% you can find that foot-long lag bolt that somebody hung a birdhouse on. So these are some of my tips and pointers for you. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear them. This is just the basics. And we'll see you guys later. Stay positive, America. Thank you.
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
3 yards. Welcome back. We're back from doing a little bit of milling there, and I hope some of the information was educational, informational, and
I only lost 1 arm.
Joe only lost 1 arm, yeah,
So
and a finger.
Yeah.
So,
Finger.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm all right. I'll be okay.
We always love comments. If you guys have more information, we're kind of doing the basics. Some of the videos out there, guys do it for a living. They process wood, mobile millers, guys that have it at their property like I do, kind of hobbyists. If you got any comments, comment down below. We'd love to hear from you. Or if you have any questions, I'd be glad to help answer with as much knowledge as I have. So,
cool. That's fun. When we went out there, he just cut right to it.
Wow. That was the joke of the day.
Yeah.
Wow. Cut.
Yeah.
And we're back to no followers.
And we're back to no followers. I could actually hear the people unsubscribing. You could hear like a little.
Going back through the episodes,
Yeah.
unliking.
Yeah, I don't think you can go back and unlike episodes. I don't think that's possible.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I hope it works out for everybody, and we'll see you next time, I guess.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us.
See ya.
That is so good.